Hello, this is Community Matters, and welcome. I'm your host for the next 2 hours, and honored to be here with you in the Santa Cruz Voice studio and over the so-called airwaves. Thank you for joining Community Matters this afternoon. We have 2 hours here to do some great discussions, and I have no formal guest today, so hope that you will call in and join the conversation and be my guest. Sorry, I'm looking at a thing to start up our show here. All right, sorry. We'll have to start over again so that you can call in, but I believe you can call in now. So, welcome to Community Matters. I would like to first off thank the Digital Media Studio and Workspace in Santa Cruz. That's at 325 SoCal Avenue in Santa Cruz. That's located between Ocean Street and the beautiful San Lorenzo River in Santa Cruz. If you're looking for a clean, safe, and very quiet, secure place for your meetings, maybe small meetings, maybe online work that you do from home, and you want to have someone join you in a meeting and you don't want them to come to your kitchen table, this is the place, let me tell you. It is clean, quiet, very secure. You can even get your mail here if you want to do that, rather than a very expensive post office box. And Satellite Media Studio is a really great place, Satellite Workspace. There are people here that can show you around during business hours, and the second Wednesday of every month is free if you want to come and try it out. So do that, and I think you'll be very pleased with what you find. Again, it's Satellite Workspace and Digital Media Studio. Santa Cruz Voice shares this space with this community television, Santa Cruz Community Television, a gem, let me tell you, a gem in our community, because those folks record many of the government meetings that go on in this county. You can find those recordings on the website. If you just search for Government on Demand, Santa Cruz County, it will come up, and you'll find those recordings of local government meetings such as the Regional Transportation Commission, the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors, Soquel Creek Water District, Capitola City Council, many others. There are about 8 different agencies there on the Government on Demand website with community television. So check that out. It's a good resource for us. If you can't be at a meeting at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning or Thursday morning or whenever they meet that is so convenient for the public, you can at least listen to what has happened and submit your comments. Don't forget to do that. All right. Well, again, welcome to Community Matters. I'm honored to be your host, Becky Steinbrunner, here for the next couple of hours. The first issue I'd like to spend for the first hour is a review of what I learned yesterday about the fire codes, this California state fire codes that are changing, that regard the battery energy storage system, known as the acronym BESS or BESS, installations in the state of California. These are the fire codes that are adopted every 3 years by the state, and the counties are required to adopt them as well, or a more stringent version of them. I think a year and a half ago or so, all of the fire agencies adopted the state fire codes after the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors had adopted it first. I'd never seen that done before. So the Board of Supervisors adopted it, and then each board in the different fire districts adopted it, and sometimes they made it more stringent. In the case of Central Fire Protection District and weed abatement, they added more stringent things. The particular issue at yesterday's symposium, I actually went up to Sacramento to attend the symposium in person. It was held at 715 P Street in the Natural Resources Department building in Sacramento, and was well attended. The number in the audience kind of came and went, but I would say there was easily 200 people there in the room, and the presenters mentioned at one point I thought I heard them say 1,000. Maybe there were 1,000 registrants, but later in the afternoon they said there were over 100 people watching online. Now, it wasn't restricted to fire personnel. That was being focused on the fire personnel, fire marshals, fire chiefs, firefighters. Government agents were also there, and the members of the public could go, and it was free, and I did so. And I'm glad I went. Initially, I went because I wanted to be able to get my questions, speak my questions at the podium and get answers. Often when I participate in symposiums like that from home via Zoom, you can type your question in, but it gets censored. So I wanted to get my questions said and answered. And the way that the question answer session went was there was a QR code on the screen for you to hold your phone up to, your cell phone, and scan and send in your question that way. Well, folks, I do not own a cell phone. I'm probably one of the few dinosaurs in this county, but I do not own a cell phone. So that left me, and there were others in the audience of that same, I believe, of that same situation. And we had one brief moment when technology didn't work to raise our hand and speak our question, and we did so. They were not answered, but we did so. So the symposium was put on by the Office of the State Fire Marshal, CAL FIRE. There were many panels, and you can find all of this if you look up CAL FIRE BESS, BESS Symposium. It was held yesterday, July 24th. You can click on the register button. It's still active, and I apologize. I had meant to print the speaker panels out from the library, and I ran off without printing it out. But you can do so by looking at that website on the Office of the State Fire Marshal, BESS Symposium, July 24th, and you'll see the panels. If you click on the panel, the names of the panelists appears, and their contact information, I believe. I am really glad, even though I didn't get to ask my question, I asked one and it didn't get answered. But the other piece of attending these things in person is you have the ability to talk with people on the side after the presentations, during the breaks, during lunch, whatever, and that is very valuable. And I'm going to tell you that I learned a lot that way, almost as much as I did from the panelists. The prime thing that I found so encouraging yesterday was something that the keynote speaker, Chief Michael O'Brien I think he's from Maryland, came. And he has sat on many of the international code commissions, national commissions on this issue of battery energy storage safety. And he was an excellent speaker. He brought a lot of information about where the whole BESS issue is and what the power, the power and authority that the fire officials need to grab hold of. Let me repeat that, because this is an issue that is in our Santa Cruz County right now, and the fire officials, I have been very disappointed to see over and over, they just shrug their shoulders and say the county doesn't like us. Well, yesterday, Chief O'Brien said, listen, you folks are the drivers. It's all in the fire codes. You have the ability to set the stage for what goes on in your jurisdictions, because you, the fire service, you are in charge of public safety in this issue, and it's huge. Not only the public safety, the general public safety, but the safety of the firefighters. And they showed a few videos. I had seen some already from what happened in 2019 in Surprise, Arizona. Take a look at that. Just search for Surprise, Arizona, BESS fire, YouTube, and you'll see a few of them there. The one that is most shocking was that the two firefighters, when they thought they had waited and were following their protocol and waited for what they thought was smoke to stop or to dwindle from coming out of the container doors, these storage containers full of lithium-ion batteries. They opened the door and it exploded. And they were shot through, catapulted through chain link fence on fire. The responders saw it happen and ran to them, and they thought they were both dead. After they, of course, extinguished the fire on their comrades, and they started moving, and they were saved. These kinds of things, the fire and explosion problem, is what should worry every one of us about the lithium-ion battery energy storage places. We are being told that what happened in Moss Landing in January 16th, beginning January 16th of this year, was just a freak. It's not going to happen again. It was a bad design. It was an old building. And I was discouraged to hear a little bit of that from some of the panelists, mostly the state. There were some state people there from the governor's office of economic development, and but there were others who were saying no, we should not allow this to happen again. And I was very, very happy to hear at the one opportunity when technology did not work, Mr. Ed Mitchell, whom I've interviewed here, he was there in the back of the room, and he stood up and said, I have a comment. And they handed him a microphone, and he talked about this and wanted to know what the governor's office, GoBiz, who's creating templates for streamlined permitting of these facilities in counties and cities throughout the state of California, what they were going to do. They didn't really answer his question either. But I was very happy to hear and see Ed Mitchell there. And what, again, the fire people have to take control of this issue. And that is what I came away with, so encouraged that there is the precedent, there is the authority under the state and international fire codes for the fire service to essentially write certainly assist in writing our county's ordinances, be very, very involved and strong in the permitting process, which they are not here. They are not. And really protect the people, protect their firefighters. So that gave me great encouragement. And I'm hoping to get a meeting very soon with our local fire officials and find out how many of them were listening to the California State Office of the Fire Marshal Battery Energy Storage System Symposium yesterday. Maybe you were there. Maybe you were one of the 100 plus people. If you were, please call in. I'm going to connect this now. I'm hoping that you can call in at 831-265-5050. Call in, join the conversation, even if you weren't there yesterday. Any questions or thoughts you have about this, because folks, this is coming. This is coming to our county, to counties all across California and the country. And the interesting thing is that there was, my focus has been on the grid scale battery energy storage system, BESS, which is in the permitting process at 19 Minto Road, over 300 metal storage containers right next to Shapiro Knolls and Diamond Estate subdivision and the Amador Drive subdivision in Watsonville. Those people know nothing about it other than what a grassroots group, the Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County, has brought to them through 3 town hall meetings, one of which was most recently held in Live Oak in July 17th, and continuing to push out information because the County Board of Supervisors refuses to do it. They refuse to hold town halls. They do not want to have people talking about this, or for some reason do not want to make public these 3 projects. The 90 Minto Road Watsonville project, which is in permit process, the project in Aptos, near Aptos High on Freedom Boulevard, and the project right next to Dominican Hospital on Houts Drive or Paul Sweet Road, kind of in that area. The county is not being transparent about this at all. They are not holding any public meetings, town hall meetings. The only effort coming from the county is through the Commission on the Environment, and that is that's it. They held one meeting in the evening of June 25th, and I attended. It was not balanced at all in terms of providing information to the public. It was Stanford University climate engineer who gave slides full of acronyms and no references at all, and had not participated in some critical symposiums that a few months prior that were put on by the California Energy Commission that looked at alternative battery energy storage besides lithium. The battery energy storage it's coming because of the state's demand, the governor's edict that this state be 100% renewable energy by 2045. For some reason, this county has adopted a deadline of 2030, and that is because they have linked arms with Central Coast Community Energy, 3CE, and that is the deadline that 3CE has established because, of course, they are selling themselves as being 100% renewable energy on their portfolio. We'll talk a little bit about that and why you should, if you are a customer, and you likely are. 93% of the electric customers in the unincorporated area are customers of 3CE, because if you didn't opt out automatically, you became a customer in 2017 of 3CE when they started up their show. But you should opt out. And that's the only way that we're going to get their attention. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to complete my assessment of the State Fire Marshal Symposium yesterday because I learned a lot and I want to share it with you out there. Again, if you're just joining, this is Community Matters and I'm your host, Becky Steinbrunner. I am giving a summary of what I learned at yesterday's Office of the State Fire Marshal Battery Energy Storage System Safety Symposium, updating everyone on the status of the State Fire Code updates. It's updated every 3 years, and it's due to be updated next year, and it's in the process of being done. So here's the other gem that I learned in talking with one of the last panels was technology developments, and there was a presentation by a fellow from the Desert Research Institute, Dr. Wang. And he was one of the few, actually, that talked about Moss Landing. Even the State Fire Marshal's legislative code director, Chief Crystal Sujeski, she put up some slides earlier about the history of lithium battery fires, and it did not include the 2025 Moss Landing fire. I thought that was very, very odd because it was the largest fire in the country. It's the largest grid-scale battery energy plant in the country, maybe in the world, and there it was, but it wasn't in her slide. But this Dr. Wang from the Desert Research Institute gave a very good presentation about safety of the people, the firefighters, when they go, and how you really, there are, as he called them, gaps in monitoring data. And he showed a slide. He had talked a little bit about how the EPA came in to the Moss Landing fire, and he said that they told him that their equipment could not be calibrated for the toxins that were found or suspected to be in the Moss Landing Vistra battery fire. And that's what he said in his presentation. And in his presentation, this is regarding HF, hydrofluoric acid, and also the particle matter size. He said he talked about the gaps in monitoring, and he put a slide up that I'd never seen before, and it showed those air quality levels of HF gas that were found at Salinas High School. And they were very high. There was a peak right at the time of the January 16th Moss Landing Vistra battery fire. I had never seen that before. And he talked about the instrumentation and how important it is that it is calibrated. He talked about a citizen science air quality called Purple Air and how it showed that there were problems. And then he talked a little bit about the health issues that were reported. Now, he said everyone is different, but he really honed in on the first responders and said how important it is that they always wear their self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA, whenever they go to a fire that has any kind of a lithium battery. He said that water can actually increase the HF pollution. And they talked about that a lot. There was a lot of conflicting discussion about that. The fire official said, there's nothing we can do, we just have to let it burn. And yet Some of the other state officials were saying, "Oh, you've got to get water to keep surrounding containers cool." But over and over, they said, "Make sure that you wear the self-contained breathing apparatus, the SCBA." And this wonderful Dr. Wang from the Desert Research Institute said, "An N95 mask is completely ineffective." And I thought about, well, yes, it is. For these pollutants, it is. And likely closing your doors and windows is also ineffective. So after the panel ended, I went up and thanked him. And I said, the EPA was monitoring for HF at ground level, not up high. It's, HF is lighter than air. Why did they do that? He looked at me and he said, "And I wonder why they said the equipment could not be calibrated, because I invented that equipment. I know it can be calibrated." So there you have it. That was quite shocking to me. And he was very willing to talk, and he was really questioning the EPA and why. And the travesty of the EPA saying, "Oh, we didn't find anything," was that is the information that other agencies used to release the evacuation orders. People went back to their homes. They went back under the plume of toxic chemicals, and they got sick. Some of them, not everyone, but those who are most vulnerable got sick. The other issue, that was one of the big gems, was meeting Dr. Wang and learning from him that he invented the equipment that the EPA had and claimed it could not be calibrated. And he knows differently. So the other takeaway was how involved the state fire marshal was, how the state fire marshal was urging all fire people to be very involved early on in the permitting process of any BESS, whether it is a grid scale, like the one at 90 Minto Road with over 300 containers filled with lithium-ion batteries, or whether it is a unit in a home. And they talked about how the tricky thing will be making sure that each county's ordinance has addresses the decommissioning of these facilities. What happened? How is it taken apart, and what happens to the land after it goes away? This is in the case of these large-scale projects. And the batteries that people may be buying on eBay and setting up their own home battery storage projects in their garage. There were some amazing videos shown where people the researchers had replicated what the fire department had found in some of the homes where they had fires. And people had built this themselves with used lithium-ion batteries, and they overheated and exploded. And the garage door exploded outward. And this is the same issue that is being admitted in the 90 Minto Road project's risk assessment, is that no firefighter should come closer than 100 feet of the facility if there is a problem, because the doors of these metal containers can become projectiles when the explosions occur. And the explosions occur. The gas that these batteries give off is flammable and lead to the explosions. And that was another piece that was made clear when firefighters roll up on a scene and they see a white cloud coming out. They may assume it's smoke unless they know what it is, and that's why they the group yesterday was recommending rigorous pre-planning, rigorous emergency plan oversight and drafting by the local fire departments for every single battery energy storage unit. And this includes those that may be at schools. Think about Cabrillo. Think about the Santa Cruz Office of Education. Think about someone's project in their garage, or I happen to know of one in an affordable housing complex where the battery is 4 by 9 by 3 feet tall, and it's right next to the play structure for the kids and next to the walkway that is the only way in and out of the whole complex. So unless the firefighters know what that is and have a plan and have trained, it can be very, very dangerous to them as well. I invite you to join me, and I'm a little worried maybe my technology has not hooked up. So pardon me, I'm going to start over and hope that we can get this all linked up. You're listening to Community Matters, and my name is Becky Steinbrunner, and I'm your host for the next hour and a half. So let's see here. I met a lot of very interesting people there yesterday, and I don't like driving. I do not like driving. Driving to Sacramento was kind of no fun, but it was worth it, and I got to see our 2 daughters to boot. That was my reward for that. So let's see if we're connecting here. Okay. All right. I think we're connected. If you're listening, please try calling in at 831-265-5050. Again, 265-5050. And you're listening to Community Matters, because you know what? It sure does. Now, the other piece of the symposium yesterday was they talked a lot about different fire codes that are being updated, and how National Fire Protection Association, NFPA Standard 855, that's the standard for installation of all energy storage systems. It covers the design, construction, installation, commissioning, that means bringing it all online, the operation, the maintenance, and the decommissioning. One point that was discussed is that it doesn't really cover the transport of these containers full of batteries into the county. Now think about that. It showed one of the presenters was a fire chief from San Diego, and he showed slides of what happened on I-80 last year, I think it was last year, when a semi-truck that had one of these battery containers tipped over and the container caught fire. And he said, we just hauled it out in the desert and let it burn, and it burned for a very long time, and we had to leave it there for a very long time. The problem that delayed everything is that we had to get permission from the BLM because it was in a sensitive habitat for the desert tortoise, and we had to get all the environmental clearances. That harkened back again to the focus of the many of the panelists was the fire agencies are the drivers in the jurisdictions in this, not the developers. And the fire agencies need to be the ones writing those ordinances, figuring out the plan, the emergency plan. Let's use the Nacimiento Road project as an example. how would that area be evacuated? Minto Road is a very narrow road, very densely populated, people parking on both sides. Maybe an engine can get in if nobody's trying to get out, but otherwise an engine could not get in. The only issue that our county fire marshal has stated is that he wants a secondary access that would be a 20-foot wide paved road down to Grimmer Lane, where the Pajaro Valley school bus sheds are, off of Holohan Road, and a water storage tank. That's it. When in effect he could be asking for setbacks. He could be asking, and this is all in the fire code, he could be asking, demanding a fire plan that has A, B, C, D in it that all comply with NFPA 855. The language is all there. That's the piece that the officials kept saying. The language to enforce is all there. You don't have to make it up. But a lot of people are making it up. I'm not saying that our Santa Cruz fire marshal is doing that. I'm saying that people in jurisdictions are making it up. Or, worse, allowing the developers to make it up. And that is what is happening in Santa Cruz County. Through Public Records Act requests, I have seen that in the case of 19 Minto Road, the New Leaf Energy project is called Seahawk Energy Storage. The developer and their consultants are defining pieces of the county's code. They are defining what is a critical structure, because that matters in terms of what you have to do or what you don't have to do, more importantly. The developers are trying to get out of doing any environmental review at all, quite persistently. And in the communication that I saw, some of the planners were quite ruffled by that. But when it comes to it, big money has a lot of sway. And when it comes to the Board of Supervisors, who's going to make that decision? Might it be 5th District Supervisor Monica Martinez, who sits on the policy board of Central Coast Community Energy? Might it be pushed by the one who really runs the Board of Supervisors, our County Administrative Officer, Carlos Palacios, who sits on the operations board of 3CE? You have to wonder, don't you, who will drive the writing and approval of what is in our county's ordinance. I have been told via email by people in the county that right now it is set to come, this BESS ordinance is set to come to the County Board of Supervisors September 9th, and it will likely be delayed, because they want to wait for the results of the investigative report for the Vistra battery fire. And that hasn't come out yet. I talked yesterday with the panelist from the California Public Utilities Commission, which is the regulator of an enforcement of the Vistra company and the plant there, and I asked him, when do you think that's going to come out? He wouldn't talk. He wouldn't say anything. He said it's active, and I'm not going to say. But I did hear on the radio yesterday, on my way home from Sacramento, that the cleanup has begun, and some of the batteries are being removed. So hopefully that will lead to some publicly released information about the cause of the Moss Landing fire. And I expect that if any information does come out, you will be able to find it on the neveragainmosslanding.org website. neveragainmosslanding.org. Go there, and there's a wealth of information. Again, a grassroots group doing the good work that the government, we all think the government will do, but as we've learned from the EPA's example, no, it's going to be on the people. Also, look at the website Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County.org. That's another good website, again by the grassroots group, and that's where you'll find some good information. We are about 3/4 of the way through our first hour. I wanted to devote the first hour to discussion about what I learned in Sacramento yesterday and discussion of the battery energy storage situation. I keep bringing this to the program every week, and it is because it is so important. It is because the local government agencies are ignoring it and trying to just shove it under the rug and hope that people forget. But no, we're not going to allow that to happen, and we're not going to just sit dismissively at the side and allow it to happen again, anywhere. So check out neveragainmosslanding.org and Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County.org. I said that I would talk a little bit about why it's important to opt out of 3CE. 3CE is the acronym for Central Coast Community Energy. It began in 2017 as Monterey Bay Community Energy. It was formed essentially by Carlos Palacios and then 5th District Supervisor Bruce McPherson and his analyst Ginny Johnson. There were other people, some of the people who now serve on the Commission for the Environment, who is the County Commission on the Environment, who is now putting on some public information, public meetings that are not balanced at all. The second one in a series of 3 will be July 30th, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the building 701 Ocean Street in Santa Cruz. That's the county government building on the 5th floor in the County Board of Supervisors chambers. Those meetings are recorded, so you can look up, do a search for Santa Cruz County Commission on the Environment and add in the date, June 25th, 2025 meeting. And that will get you the recording of the last one. They've held others. At the June 25th one, they had, in addition to this, Dr. Jacobson from Stanford, who is shocking how he made broad claims and didn't really reference them at all with anything. But he's setting a lot of this feverish drive for the 2030 goal that 3CE has. The other speaker was Mr. Dyke O'Neill from 3CE. And what a dog and pony show. What a dog and pony show. The people would ask questions and we wouldn't really get any answers. And Mr. O'Neill was quite upset that a very astute member of the public, Miss Nina Adino, who is incidentally one of the primaries in the Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County group, she brought to his attention, what about the Clearway project in Monterey County, the new lithium-ion battery storage grid scale in Monterey County that 3CE is supporting? And he looked very vexed, and he just shrugged his shoulders. It's a matter of public record. And that's all he would say. And I said, why is 3CE so unrealistic in your goals that you have 2030 and therefore cannot slow down your rate of battery energy storage projects to allow for safe, not safer, but safe alternate technologies that are on the horizon, the near horizon of commercial rollout and testing. And he just shrugged his shoulders and said, I doubt that 3CE is willing to delay anything. Well, what is the risk of a lithium-ion battery fire and explosion in a neighborhood? And does it really outweigh 3CE's artificial goal, self-aggrandizement goal, and business marketing goal of 2030 to put these dangerous, explosive, and toxic facilities in our neighborhoods, like the one at Minto Road? That's not 3CE, but the Holman BESS is. They made an agreement with the Clearway Energy Group to support that and bring it online, lithium, in a neighborhood. Since the Moss Landing fire, people have been going to the board meetings of 3CE and demanding that they slow down, demanding that they not embrace lithium, demanding that they come more into alignment with the state's goal of 2045 that will allow them to have the time to implement safe alternatives for public safety, for environmental health, and they never respond. They never respond. And in fact, when I was at the last executive meeting and Santa Cruz City Mayor Fred Keeley, the chair, was presiding, he was downright rude. And I want to thank the representative from the city of Salinas that insisted that Mayor Keeley allow me to speak. It was incredible. So we need to get their attention, 3CE's attention. And how do you get any company's attention? It's through the finances. Opt out of 3CE today. If you are a customer, you likely are, opt out today. You can do so by calling 3CE. You can go online. You'll need their your customer service, your electric account number, and opt out. Tell them why you're opting out, but do it today. That's really important. You may be surprised. My family we opted out right away just because none of what 3CE was saying or doing made any sense to us. So we are PG&E, but your power bill may actually go down. Many people who have opted out say their bill went down. And I recently received a card in the mail, Understanding Your Energy Choice. And the cost of the energy for PG&E and the cost of the energy for 3CE is virtually the same. Many people say, oh, well, they feel good about going with 3CE because they are helping the environment. Well, really? Is a lithium-ion battery energy storage in a neighborhood, a disadvantaged neighborhood, where many people are Spanish-speaking and do not understand or have not been told what's coming to their neighborhood or any of the risks? Is that helping the environment? How can anybody think that lithium-ion technology is clean, when if you research it a bit, it takes exorbitant amounts of water? Much of the lithium being used in the lithium batteries, and this includes car batteries, computer batteries, cell phone batteries, all of that. But I'm focusing on the grid scale, these large installations. For example, 90 Minto Road will have over 300 of these metal cargo containers that can explode and emit toxic gases. Is that really good for the planet? Is that really good for the people? I don't think so. I think it's a business portfolio that they're pushing. So opt out of 3CE. I don't want to take my eyes off the screen. I'm still looking for your call at 831-265-5050. And there'll be another opportunity for you to call in during the second hour. During the break, I'm going to get the phone number for you to call, 3CE, to opt out. You can look it up yourself. There's no penalty. If you're a residential customer, they will want $5 from you. If you're a commercial customer, they will want $25 from you. And you have to stay a customer of PG&E for 1 year. And your power price is not locked in. That's the other piece that has scared some people. But you know what? Listening at the 3CE operations board meetings, they are saying the cost of energy is down. So you might get a better deal. You might get a better deal. Your power bill might go down, and you're going to get the attention of 3CE, and they are really worried about this. They are worried that people are going to boycott them, and we have to do it. It's the only way to get the attention of 3CE is by boycotting them, letting them know you do not support lithium-ion battery storage. You do not support their actions at Clearway and Holman BESS in Monterey County, and you want them to listen to you, because they're not. They really are not. So boycott 3CE. That's my message for today. You're listening to Community Matters. I'm all fired up. Are you? Call in 831-265-5050. And again, I urge you to go take a look at neveragainmosslanding.org and Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County. I have here some information from Mr. Ed Mitchell, just a dynamite researcher, investigator from the Never Again Moss Landing group. He was at yesterday's symposium in person too. I didn't get a chance to talk with him. But he sent me some information. Regulatory agency investigation findings include that the California Public Utilities Commission has failed its regulatory mission of providing safe, affordable, reliable, publicly owned utility service using lithium-ion battery storage. The PUC regulator failed to protect the first responders, employees, public and local businesses in the Central Coast environment and nearby agricultural fields by providing inadequate oversight and allowing largely unregulated self-policing by Vistra, the facility operator. That's what bothered me most about seeing that slide of Dr. Wang's, is that at Salinas High School, the levels of contaminants were high. And that is the salad bowl of our country, and nobody's talking about it. The farmers don't want to talk about it, and the county and the EPA are refusing to do so. Stay tuned. We'll be back at the top of the hour, 3:06. You're listening to Community Matters, and thank you. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Ready to connect. Click Connect to show now. You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-in Studio web interface. Audio recording is on. Dual channel.
Hello?
Hey, Becky.
Oh, Bill, hello. I didn't see your call. It was over in another tab. I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay. I mostly just wanted to help you make sure that the phones were working.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I do see your call now, and I apologize. Do you want to?
No, not necessary.
Okay.
Do you monitor Grok while you're not Grok? Do you monitor Slack while you're in there?
No, I do not.
Okay, because I was
Oh,
sending you message. It should be up. I leave it up in the morning, and I doubt Susan would close it.
oh, I do see it here now. I just never look at that side of the computer, Bill.
Yeah.
The
Okay. Well,
screen.
it's a
But I
good to get
see your
into
message
to
now.
have a peek at Slack every so often, as long as it doesn't throw you off too much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh gosh, I appreciate. Do you want to call back or do you want to wait? And
Uh, Well, I do have one question I could ask you. Sure, I'll wait, and you can uh, spend a moment or two with me if you want.
oh, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you. If you
Okay.
have the time, I appreciate it. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
So I think I don't have to go back if you just send this back into the queue or something like that.
yeah. Um, return to queue. Is that what I'd put, or do you want to just hold on? I
No, that'll put me back to where I was, and I'll just be listening on hold again, I
okay.
believe.
All right. So return to queue, and then it will bring you back up.
If you wish, yeah.
I just don't want to lose you.
I'll call back if you do.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna put return to queue. Thank you, Bill.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Hello, welcome back to Community Matters. I'm honored to be your host for another hour, and appreciate your patience in looking at the another tab on the computer. I have to tell you, folks, I am quite the Luddite, so I struggle here. But in looking at another tab, there were a couple of calls. One has dropped off, but one remains. So I want to apologize to anyone who tried to call in and couldn't get through. Please call in again and join the conversation. We can continue on discussing the battery energy storage topic and or move in to other topics such as the coastal rail trail, another topic, and I'll have a guest here in the studio next Friday, one of the residents in one of the two mobile home parks that the Regional Transportation Commission is saying they must move their home or else. So I'll have that guest here in my studio next week, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I have some information about that whole project, and maybe you've seen today's Santa Cruz Sentinel. There's some really good letters and a good opinion piece from the Santa Cruz Sentinel. But I want to thank you all for your patience, and I have a caller here that I would like to take who has a question about the Minto Road project. Let's see if we can get you on. Hello, Bill, are you there?
Becky?
Hi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I heard you say earlier that none of the people who live there know what's coming. I find that difficult to believe. How is it that that can be true?
Well, what happened is that the developer, New Leaf Energy, and it's a consultant that they've hired to really shepherd this through the permitting process. Swift Consulting. John Swift used to work for the Santa Cruz County Planning Department, so he's a consultant now. And they were required to hold one public meeting before they submitted their application for the project. They held that public meeting in December, on December 12th. The postcard that they sent out to a very, very limited number of people had no time of the meeting. And I have heard that there were very few people there. The group Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County has been going door to door in the communities nearby. I myself went to Shapiro Knolls. They did not know about it except for the information that they have been given by the Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County and the two town hall meetings that the Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County grassroots group has organized and put on in their community. The supervisor for the area, Felipe Hernandez, has not come to their neighborhood. He refuses to hold town hall meetings, and he holds his office hours right now on, I think it's the second Friday between 1 and 3 p.m. How does that serve the working public? I have gone to his office, and he just doesn't answer. So, the reason they don't know is because nobody is letting them know, except for people like Nina Adino and her small army of mighty and powerful, kind-hearted people. They are going and letting them know.
Well, that's good. I see that it's not going to do any good to wait for the battery company or for the supervisor to do it. So it's good that they're not waiting, going ahead and going door to door.
Yeah, absolutely, because we can give them balanced information. Well, we can give them information about the potential harm. They're certainly not going to hear that from New Leaf Energy. New Leaf Energy, in response to the work that Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County is doing, they developed an accordion informational flyer that makes it look like it's just the best thing and so safe. And they've, in fact, the developer has actually made the statement that if there were a fire, it is highly unlikely there would be a fire, but it would only be from one cell, one little battery, and the smoke plume would stay within the footprint of the project.
Well,
So
that last little bit is comical.
I know.
Even in still wind, it's going to dissipate, but
Yeah.
that's slightest wind at all will make that not true.
Well, it is ridiculous, and to me, it really gives credence to the issue that our local fire people need to be stronger in this, because they're accepting this ludicrous information as the project's risk assessment and part of the emergency response plan. How can they? And I'm saying, now that I have educated myself a little more at this symposium, it cannot be, the model cannot be limited to one battery. It has to be one battery expanded to one whole grouping, expanded to one whole unit, expanded to the whole area of catching fire. And that is what has to be modeled. And the same batteries have to be used in all of those scenarios. You can't use different ones. And our fire people are accepting, just as an uneducated member of the public might accept, oh, okay. And the fire people are accepting that? That's what has to change.
Well, they're modeling a best case scenario instead of a worst case scenario.
Exactly. They're modeling.
Firefighters are government workers. There's some component of a desire to just sort of believe the bureaucracy because they're all part of the same government and they don't want to, would their jobs be at risk if they fought back on this?
You know what I think it is? I think there is part of that. I think it is because the county fire marshal is hired by the Board of Supervisors. And the Board of Supervisors is run by Carlos Palacios, the CAO. And let me tell you, he nearly jumped out of his chair at one meeting when there was discussion that all of this ordinance for the county should be delayed. He jumped out of his chair and said, we have to approve this. So...
yeah, well, I think that's honest. I think they've got some marching orders from higher up.
I believe you. Yes, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that to be true, but just with that kind of vibe,
Yeah.
it seems to me that that's a likely explanation.
Yes, I think for whatever reason, that push is definitely palpable and comes with financial strings attached. So that's, to answer your question, that is why the people on Minto Road don't know anything. It's because they were likely not included in any notification. Their supervisor refuses to hold a town hall meeting, and the county is just being very, very quiet about all of this. So it's power to the people, you know. The people are the fourth arm of government, and so that's where we are, and people need to really rise up and demand more public accountability and transparency on all of this.
I agree. Well, thank you for the part that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for your patience, too. I just didn't see that tab showing that there was a call, Bill, so thank you.
That's fine.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
You too. Bye, Becky.
Bye for now. All right. Maybe you tried calling out there earlier too, and I apologize. I'm now watching a different tab, so if you do call in, 831-265-5050, I'll see you there now, and my apologies. And here comes a call. Nope, it's gone. Okay, so I said that I would give you the phone number to call for opting out of 3CE, and I got busy researching my information for the next hour here that could be changing to a different topic. So I've typed in opt out of 3CE, and it comes up. And that's the only way. You're not going to find it on the regular website. I've tried, and you're not going to find it. You have to search opt out of 3CE, and they give you information there, frequently asked questions, and different things. And then at the bottom in green, there's an opt-out for PG&E customers and an opt-out for SCE, that's Southern California Edison, because Central Coast Community Energy goes all the way down to Santa Barbara, and those people down there, those folks down there, are customers of Southern California Edison, not PG&E. So you would want to click on PG&E, and that gets you to the page where you can enter in your PG&E account number, your last name or business name, and the service location of the zip code. And it gives you the instructions there. Let me go back and see if I can find the phone number, if that's more comfortable for you. Let me see. I saw it before. I'm not seeing it right now, but if you look on that website, you'll see it. You can do so either way. And I had a flyer here that I can't find at the moment with that number, but pardon me. And do opt out of 3CE. It's very, very important, because it's the only way we're going to get their attention. It's the only way we're going to get Santa Cruz County's attention, because you know what? The two are braided together. The Santa Cruz County Climate Action Plan holds 3CE as the answer to the county's way to get to renewable energy 100% by 2030. And PG&E is not mentioned, only in the Climate Action Plan, only in terms of the power safety shutoffs. That's the only piece that PG&E has in the county's plan. It's all 3CE. Now that seems a little bit like a conflict of interest, and having the CAO and a county supervisor sit on the board making decisions. All right, opt out of 3CE. It's important to do. And go look at those two websites, neveragainmosslanding.org and Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County. If you want to call in, I'm now paying attention to the proper tab on this computer screen to watch for your call, and I'll be happy to take it. 831-265-5050. Call in. You can talk about the lithium-ion batteries. You can talk about the fire codes. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I'm going to move on to a different topic here. I have a paper copy of the Santa Cruz Sentinel. Our family likes having a paper newspaper and sitting out on the deck with a cup of coffee. It is very expensive. It is expensive. But we like reading the paper. We support independent newspapers, and so we take the Sentinel. And in today's Sentinel, on page A9, the opinion article is from the editorial staff of the Sentinel, The Funding Dilemma for a Coastal Train. And it talks about the problem and how it has evolved with the Regional Transportation Commission and all their actions and all their studies and all their promises, and where is it going to go? It also kind of compares it with the State High-Speed Rail Authority. Let me read this. Backers also assured voters the train would not need to be subsidized because it would draw huge numbers of riders. The State High-Speed Rail Authority at the time projected 65.5 million annual riders by 2030, about 5 times as many passengers who take Amtrak's trains in the more densely and heavily populated Northeast Corridor. But as the 500-mile project needed more money, the Obama administration required the state to build the first leg in the Central Valley as a condition for $3.5 billion in grants. Federal dollars, state bonds, and cap-and-trade revenue have since kept the project chugging along, sort of. But the Rail Authority is at least $7 billion short of what it needs just to complete this first segment and needs more than $90 billion to build all 500 miles. But that sum was not included in the state's recent $321 billion budget. So it's a valid question. Why should taxpayers in flyover countries subsidize a train that is unlikely to ever run? So the Santa Cruz Sentinel opinion editors here are comparing the Regional Transportation Commission. They have released estimated costs for the coastal passenger rail of $4.3 billion to build the infrastructure for a train, with an annual operating cost between $31 million and $41 million, and the war of words on both sides has ramped up, with no sign of slowing down. Last week, my guest here in the studio, I was honored to have, was Miss Sarah Christensen. She is now the executive director of the Santa Cruz Regional Transportation Commission. And I asked her, why is this number so high? And she said they had to build in all contingencies for replacing old infrastructure and even the railroad bed itself. So it's top dollar. And I have to wonder if that's really necessary, if it could be done in pieces. My personal opinion on the rail with trail is that taxpayer money, our money, bought the corridor, and for the purpose of providing rail service, and that it doesn't have to mean it's a diesel locomotive. It doesn't preclude there being a transit bus that's able to run on the rails. And in fact, Ms. Christensen said, well, the RTC just bought a truck that can run on the rails so that they can inspect the condition of the rail corridor, the 32-mile-long rail corridor. So why can't we have the buses do that too? I've been told for about $10,000 a bus can be retrofit so that it can be rubber tired and then get on the track, and there you go. It goes on the rail. But the people in Watsonville most definitely need relief. I don't know if you've ever seen the commute traffic out there. You've maybe been sitting in it, but something has to happen rather than just endless studies that have taken up millions of dollars and taken up lots of time. As I said earlier, my guest next week will be one of those who lives in one of the two mobile home parks along the rail corridor in segment 1011, the Capitola area, and she'll be talking about what's happening. The Regional Transportation Commission sent all of those people a letter saying that their fences, homes encroach in the rail right-of-way, according to a boundary survey recently done, and gave them 1 year to move the encroachment, which is their home, or the RTC will do it and bill them. And it's just ludicrous. And as you can imagine, many of these people are senior citizens, maybe with disabilities, on fixed incomes. Mobile homes are one of the last little crumbs of affordable housing that this county has. And here we are threatening these people with having to move out. So my guest, I'm honored to have next week, will be here talking about that. But we've got to do something, and I don't think that the trail has to be 12 feet wide or 14 feet wide, as the RTC is saying they have to have certain specifications. I don't think that it has to be a very expensive thing. A dirt trail would be just great, and that's what exists in a lot of places already. So I guess if you're depending on state funding for things, you have to jump through a lot of hoops. But I think that we've got to do something. There's no reason we shouldn't do something with the rail, and I don't think it should harm the people, such as the Blue and Gold or the Castle Estates mobile home park owners, their homes have been there since the 60s, and there has to be a way to negotiate this out, and I think Castle is just asking for time and attrition. It'll fix itself, but the RTC is being very heavy-handed, and I think that's pretty disgusting. In the letters to the editor, and I hope you folks read the letters to the editor. I hope you write letters to the editor. It's a good way to get your opinion out, and you're going to find that people appreciate it, appreciate the discussion, and will often respond with enlightening and very, I think, edifying discussions. So there's one in today's paper: unfunded coastal train plan has legal challenges. And this one's a very interesting one. It's by Damon Meyer in Santa Cruz. The RTC is pushing a train plan that isn't just unclear, it's legally hollow. Under the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, private property cannot be taken for public use unless the project is real, viable, and funded. Courts have made it clear speculation is not justification. And it cites a legal case, Kelo versus New London. I went to the county law library this morning and looked up and printed out that case. That was in 2005, and it actually went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And it talks about the issue of eminent domain. So I will have read this case and the opinion by next week, but you can look it up. Some cases are available without having to go to use the county law library in the basement of 701 Ocean Street, and a gem of a place, let me tell you. They have Westlaw, which allows you to get free access to the complete court opinion and other legal citations. It is Kelo, Kelo, versus the City of New London, Connecticut. And that was a U.S. Supreme Court decision in 2005. And so thank you to this good letter to the editor, writer Damon Meyer, for bringing that to our attention. And we'll talk about that case more next week when our guest from Castle Mobile Home Estates is here with us talking about taking of land. Continuing on with this letter from Mr. Meyer, he mentions the Kelo versus New London 2005 case. Yet the RTC plans are missing their most critical section, the corridor running down Beach Street, past hotels and in front of the boardwalk. The blueprint for Segment 7, Phase 2, ends at Pacific Avenue. From there to the San Lorenzo River trestle, arguably the most dangerous and complicated stretch, there is no plan at all. No rail design, no elevation strategy, no environmental clearance, no funding. How can they threaten to take homes when the project itself doesn't exist in full? This isn't infrastructure, it's a land grab based on a fantasy. The RTC must solve and fully fund Beach Street before claiming a single inch of residential property. That's in today's Santa Cruz Sentinel, letter to the editor. Feel free to call in. We can still talk about the battery energy storage issue. If you were one of the callers, I think there was one other caller that tried to get in, and I apologize. Call back, and we can continue to talk about it. Continuing on with the rail trail issue, this opinion piece starts out in the Santa Cruz Sentinel, entitled "The Funding Dilemma for a Coastal Train." It says, "Has there ever been a topic that has so energized Santa Cruz County residents as the continuing arguments and counter-arguments about rail and trail?" Well, I suspect there has been, and I miss my good friend Bruce Bratton on issues like this, and maybe Sandy Lydon, maybe I'll be able to get him here on phone and pick his brain. I'm sure that there have been other issues, such as the Cabrillo College renaming. I can think of that one right now. That was quite a hoo-ha there for a while. But this is an issue, and it's one that needs to be resolved because of tremendous amounts of money, and it is a tremendous burden on the public, both for those who are in angst about losing their homes, those who are searching for some relief for traffic congestion. I'm also hoping to get here as a guest. I've had him in the past, Mr. Rick Longinati with Sustainable Transportation, talking about his work, his group's work, regarding the segment 12 of the rail and trail, that recently was awarded $128.7 million from the state to get going on that segment. That is State Park Drive to Freedom Boulevard. That's going to be a very complicated one because the trail is being combined with the rail, and the RTC's plans are to construct completely new and separate from the rail bed itself pedestrian bicycle bridges. There's one that would go over Aptos Creek in Aptos, near Aptos Village, and that one is a 300-foot long ribbon span design that the RTC wants to build, and another one over Highway 1 south of Aptos Village that is going to be built basically over a private property owner's driveway, and the people would look right down into his yard and onto his house and into his life. And the RTC is not being very forthcoming about what that would all look like. I was cautioned not to talk about that last week when my guest was Miss Sarah Christensen, but I can talk about it now. And it's quite upsetting that this nearly 80-year-old man is not being given the information that he's asking for, mostly what's it going to look like. The RTC has not been forthcoming in that information at all, but is offering money for the easement, aerial easement over his property. So that piece is going to be very interesting, and we would be remiss if we did not also draw into that the Bayview Hotel in Aptos Village, because the RTC is now claiming that they own the front half of the parking lot in front of the Bayview Hotel and Caroline's thrift store. That didn't ever come up in any other discussions, and I've been involved with things in that little area there for quite a while. The RTC did this survey and claim that they own half. It is not a contiguous property line that goes through the other properties of Aptos Station. little strip mall there. And it does not include the Aptos Village project developers pieces of that little area. So the Bayview Hotel is a gem in our community, and it has been very sad to watch it not be open. I am privy to a lot of what has and hasn't happened there because I really care about the history of the area. I really care about the area in general, Aptos Village. I live in the Aptos Hills and have been involved in those things for a while. In fact, it was the bulldozing of the world-famous post office jumps, bike jumps there behind the Bayview Hotel that got me involved in local politics in a big way because I couldn't understand how anything so horrible could happen in our community when we were told nothing was happening. So I've been watching all of that area, and the Bayview Hotel is for sale still. I talked with the owner, and it is still for sale. She is in bankruptcy because of a number of things. But she's hoping to have a new buyer that will appreciate the beauty and the historic quality and richness of the hotel. It was built in 1897, owned by Jose Orano, and he made certain agreements with the railroad, and those have not been honored. At least not my interpretation of the original deed from 1897. So the segment 12 trail next to the railroad tracks, the RTC wants to put on the inland side of the tracks, and that would eat up that whole area there. And you have to wonder why is that needed when there are bike lanes on SoCal Drive through that area? Well, it's because that's what they want to do. And so we'll be talking about that and eminent domain. And next week we'll be talking about that more. The Santa Cruz Regional Transportation Commission, the RTC, did have a couple of public input sessions, community meetings. This last week, Ms. Christensen alerted me to one of them I hadn't seen, July 21st, 22nd, and it was the rail station design. I'm very interested in that and wanted to know more. So I did attend it in person. It was a virtual too, but I did attend it in person at the RTC offices on Pacific Avenue. And there were 3 or 4 other people there with me. And I understand there were about 40, maybe 30, between 37 and 40 people online is what they said. And I have to tell you, I was so disappointed because we saw no plans at all for where the stations were going to be. We saw nothing except concept designs from the architect with a beachy and woodsy theme. And this man talked in very general, esoteric terms about materials and doing different things to make a writer feel as if the agency is taking care of them. I found that very odd language. The lighting, and they only mention very vaguely, the lighting will ensure an experience that the visitors are confident the agency is taking care of them. And when one question came in, we were encouraged to submit our questions throughout the presentation, online and in person. Those of us in the room were given a pen and a pad of sticky notes. And I submitted 7 or 8 questions on sticky notes. I positioned myself next to the staff member there who was the clerk, in essence, of the presentation. And I handed her them handed my questions to her throughout the session. Only one of my questions got asked. Only one. Going back to my discussion about the lighting, the person wanted to know, well, what's the lighting going to look like? Is it going to be, what kind of light? What are the fixtures going to look like? And the answer was, we don't know. We don't know, but it will make people feel as if the agency is taking care of them. Well, that's a really dumb answer. Why did they even bother? Halfway through the presentation, the other people left. They all just left. And I probably should have, but I kept holding out hope that they would ask my questions. And the one question of mine they did ask at the very, very end my question was, I am interested in knowing more about the design and location of the 2 Aptos stations. And I was thinking the Cabrillo College station, which I have seen at some of their other open house stations, meetings, where it would be near McGregor Drive and New Brighton State Beach, and had either an overcross or a tunnel under Highway 1. And I wanted to know, what are they thinking now? Nothing. The only answer was, there's only one station in Aptos, and it will be, hold on here, Aptos Village. Aptos Village. That means the Bayview Hotel, doesn't it? That means no parking at the station, really, because the Aptos Village project itself, which its second phase is now done, and I see they're having open houses, is significantly underparked. If you go to that area, check out Aptos Village Way, which is the connector through the project itself. It's very, very narrow. Early on in the project, they had white parking space delineators, but they painted them with black paint because they were too narrow, and it made it visible that they were too narrow when people's vehicles, even though they parked up right next to the curb, were hanging out in the roadway. And my question from day one has been, how do you expect a fire engine to get through here? So anyway, I was a little bit shocked to hear that the RTC is planning to put the Aptos passenger rail station in Aptos Village. I was told at the beginning of before the meeting began, I arrived a little early, and the staff member said, "Oh, this meeting's going to be really good. It's going to give people more information to be able to consider for the report that will be issued at the August commission meeting." That's going to be a very meaty discussion, and we wanted to have this meeting tonight to really give people information that they can kind of delve into before the main report comes out in August. And I'm telling you, people, it was a waste of time. And I'm really sorry to say that. I had such hopes, but it was the best thing I got was a granola bar. So there you have it. And that's the scoop on the Bayview Hotel. It's still for sale. If you know anyone with an interest in preserving history and to preserve that gem and open it up again, to bring it back to life, please contact the seller there. There's an agent seller. The owner is in bankruptcy right now, so it's all kind of muddied. But we've got to do something to hang on to that. Otherwise, I fear Swenson will swoop in and buy it up for a song and a dance, and it will be gone. You're listening to Community Matters. If you have any opinion about this or the battery energy storage issues, anything at all, please call in and join the conversation. We've got about 15 minutes, and I would love to have you join the conversation. The number is 831-265-5050. Okay, let's see. I don't see any calls, so call in. What else is going on of interest? Speaking of local history, I have had in the past Miss Corral Reeder here as my guest in the studio talking about the Redman-Hirahara Farmstead down in Watsonville. That is the plus 100-year-old William Weeks Victorian that is in a state of disrepair that you see from Highway 1 as you're traveling southbound near the last Watsonville exit, the Riverside exit. It is a gem in the rough. And the Redman-Hirahara house is possibly, likely, to be delisted from the National Historic Registry when the County Board of Supervisors comes back into session in August, and I think that is August 6th. The Bayview Hotel is also on the National Historic Registry, and the Redman-Hirahara house was put on the National Historic Registry by the Save the Redman-Hirahara House Foundation that was formed by a group of local people in the 1990s with the goal of preserving the house and bringing it into a productive business of some kind in Watsonville. I think what their ideal was that they would have a wine cellar, and that's why they lifted it up, and they were going to make a new foundation for it and make a wine cellar, and it was going to become a museum and an event center. And the farmland was included in, the 14 acres of farmland was included in the registry, the National Historic Registry. The group raised money, and then it fell apart, and the money went somewhere, and they defaulted on their payments. So it was purchased by a developer, the Tutt Elite Development, the Tutt family. And they also bought the parcel across the road on Lee Road in Watsonville that you also see a new 4 or 5 story modern hotel with a Starbucks and a gas station and a convenience market, and that's there. That piece is on city property in the city boundary, but the Redman-Hirahara house, for some strange reason, is in the county unincorporated area. And the County Board of Supervisors, at the behest of the developer, the Tutt family, is being pressured to take it off the National Historic Registry because the developer cannot do anything that he wants to do by having the house and the farmstead listed on the National Historic Registry. Very sadly, the County Historic Resources Commission, which is supposed to be working hard to preserve these things, offered to pay the $600 out of their own very meager budget to pay for a civil engineer to come in and determine if the building is structurally sound. Well, golly, the developer agreed to pay the $600, so the commission did not have to, but they are sadly very supportive of the action, and it angers and disappoints me at the same time that they would go right along with this, and it is my opinion that they are doing so at the behest of one of the commissioners for the area, who is supportive of improving or changing, maybe is a better word, the economic image, the aesthetic image of the entry to Watsonville. City of Watsonville has I think already adopted their general plan change, and they also have been my guest here too. Mr. Justin Meeks was my guest when I learned that the Watsonville City General Plan includes gobbling up this whole area where the Redman-Hirahara house is, as well as a lot of farmland between the city and that area, Highway 1, calling it the Gateway Project. And it is, to me, quite troubling that our county Historic Resources Commission is all too happy to approve delisting the national treasure that the Redman-Hirahara house is. And let me tell you why I think it's a treasure. If you didn't know the story, you might not care. But the story is, first of all, the Redman house was designed by William H. Weeks, who is a well-known architect in Santa Cruz County and designed many of the Queen Anne Victorians that you see around town. And in Watsonville, there's the Tuttle Mansion out on East Lake. And he also designed Santa Cruz High School. He had that commercial aspect of architecture too. So he designed the house for Mr. Redman, and as Corral Reader told the story, it was to help Mr. Redman woo his wife away from San Francisco to the farmland of the Pajaro Valley, because he had a lot of big deals happening down in Pajaro, and he ran with the crowd that included Frederick Heen, Klaus Spreckels, all of those big wealthy magnates, and Mr. Redman was one of them, and actually raised thoroughbred racehorses right there on the property. So when the Redman family was ready to let go of that house, the Hirahara family bought it. The Hirahara family bought it at a time right before World War II began. And there were many ill sentiments toward Japanese American people. They were American citizens. They were of Japanese descent. And they loved that home and owned it and operated agricultural business on the farm. And then World War II came, and we all know what happened. The very horrible thing that happened to the Japanese Americans, the German Americans, the Italian Americans. They were sent away. And what the beautiful piece that you need to know, and that the public needs to remember, happened in the Pajaro Valley at that horrible time, is that while the Hirahara family was imprisoned far away, the people of the Pajaro Valley paid their property taxes, and they farmed their land, so that when the Hirahara family came back, they had a home, they had a farm. In many places in the Salinas Valley especially, that did not happen. People did not want the Japanese citizens, to come back. And so they let the land go. They let their homes and businesses be sold. And they had nothing to come back to, unlike the Hirahara family, due to the big hearts and caring of the people of the Pajaro Valley that saved it for them. So what happened then was the Hirahara family remodeled an old barn and into apartments to give their friends who had nothing a place to start over. And that is the story of the Redman-Hirahara house and farmstead. The barn was allowed to fall down. The Tutt family, without any permits, recently demolished the barn And the house has been in a state of disrepair, allowed to become worse and worse, because the Tutt family has not been made to do anything. The Historic Resources Commission, the same commission, but a different group of them that really do care about preserving history. They worked very hard to get our Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors to adopt a demolition by neglect ordinance that would force the Tutt family to at least put a tarp on the roof and bill them if they didn't and get the work done to preserve it. The Board of Supervisors refused to do that. So it has gone into a state of disrepair, but is still quite possibly very structurally sound. The assessment that was done that the Tutt family paid for, that they handed to the County Historic Resources Commission to get their approval for delisting on the Historic Resources Registry, was no one went in the building. It was done by a county building official. The county building official did not go inside the building, but merely evaluated it by walking around the outside and saying it is not habitable. It is not habitable. And that was all that the Historic Resources Commission required. There was supposedly a historic preservationist that the Tutt family hired. His credentials are, at least his current credentials, are questionable. All that he gave them was some links to bling videos where intruders went in at night with a headlamp and just looked around, their head bobbing all around. And that was his proof that the inside is not structurally sound. And the County Historic Resources Commissioners accepted that. And now, at the next Board of Supervisors meeting, likely this will be before the board. If you care about history, I encourage you to write to the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors. Contact 2nd District Supervisor Kim DeSerpa. It's in her district. Oddly enough, it's in the 2nd District. And you can contact her by writing Kimberly.DSerpa, D-E-S as in Sam, E-R-P-A, at santacruzcountyca.gov. You can also look up the supervisors, all of them, on the website, Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors, and you'll see them all there, and you can click on their photo and scroll down and get their contact information. This is a story that needs to be preserved in our community, in our country, how people have stood up for one another, and the importance that we are vigilant, that our citizens among us are not hauled off because of fear. You're listening to Community Matters. I want to thank you for your patience today, and I hope you'll join me next week. I'll be again having a discussion about the rail trail and the encroachment that the RTC claims is there against the Castle Mobile Estates and Blue and Gold Mobile Estates. We'll have a guest here that's a resident. I hope you'll join me next week. Thank you so much for listening in today.